crisis, a pandemic with coronavirus, this is really an opportunity for leaders to step up within organisations, like you say, right down to customers feeling like they have been heard during this period. So do you see this as an opportunity for leaders to really make a difference during a difficult time for not only employees but for customers?
Yeah, and I think we need to be careful about capital L leaders versus everybody's a leader right now.
Right.
A lot of leaders are struggling with the pressure right now. It's leaders I talk to right now, ask them a simple question: how are you sleeping? And a lot of
Wow.
them are losing sleep. A lot of them are struggling with their sleep. And the ones that aren't struggling with their sleep are distributing leadership across their teams. So I'm going to talk about leadership from two perspectives. Everybody's a leader, and people who have leadership somewhere on their title. If you're a leader who's got leadership somewhere on your title, right now, you need to be over communicating. You need to be over communicating until your staff say, stop, that's enough. Right now,
Really?
yeah, right now people need to hear from us more than ever. Systems that are flourishing are having daily stand-ups. They're getting questions and answers and solutions to problems within a 24-hour period, and their system is adapting and is being really productive. Do not create information vacuums. If you create an information vacuum at the moment, staff just make up their own stories to fill in the gaps.
And there's a lot of fear there as well, I'm assuming, at this time.
So fear, anxiety, and frustration are the top three emotions that people feel when they're not being communicated with. Now, the very act of communicating, we need to think about from a couple of angles: how to communicate, what modalities to use. So it's not enough just to type into a social network, an email system, send a text message or a WhatsApp group. Some people process information visually. Leaders need to think about the same content delivered three different ways: through text, through video, through audio. People will consume it in completely different ways. One of my clients right now, they've got a radio station from 1 o'clock to 1:15. The format's exactly the same. They've been running it for 3 weeks, and it's brilliant engagement strategy. The capital L leadership team runs it, and they share interviewing one staff member for 15 minutes. 3 simple questions. Send us a photo of your home office. Tell us what's that all about. A really interesting discussion emerged about someone's passion for Mexican art because they had a photo in the background, and it created a connection. Question number 2, what song is going on in your head right now that helps you make sense of what's going on? And then finally, question number 3, which was the whole reason they did it, is what's one thing the leadership team could do in the next 24 hours to make working from home easier for you? And what they commit to: 1 o'clock the next day on the radio station. By the way, Sharon, the person who's interviewed tags someone else in the organization to be interviewed, which creates a beautiful dynamic and a conversation about, so why did you tag Maria in this conversation? What is it you want to know about Maria? And they may or may not know Maria, but again, it creates a connection. So both that's broadcast live from 1 to 1:15 in their time zone, but it's also recorded and shared across the network as well. But the very act of them doing this daily, including the whole organization, and this is a multi-thousand organization, employee organization, they were getting really simple issues like, it would be really great if I had a HDMI cable to connect my monitor. At the moment, I'm bending over into my laptop and my neck's sore. It's like, sure, just go and expense it, was the answer from one of the leaders. But what's happening is staff are percolating up more issues because they realize they're being listened to and actioned.
Wow, that is powerful, isn't it?
Yeah. So the second part of this is I talk about listening across. Leaders need to be deliberate in buddying up 2 or 3 people, ideally 3. Why? Because someone might get sick at the moment. So we want some resilience and redundancy in our systems. Buddy up 3 people that have something in common. They may all be working from home as parents, or they may all be working from home as single, or they may all be working from home in a particular geography that they could self-help each other out with some particular practical on-the-ground issues like, help, can somebody help me with getting some supplies from here to there? But what happens is when you're setting up people communicating and listening across the system, people are solving problems themselves faster. They're sharing that with other groups, and issues that typically would have to go up and down they're just being completely short-circuited. Sharon, I was involved with a very early specification for telemedicine in Australia because I used to be part of the Skype for Business group at Microsoft. And that was 14 years ago. And in 6 weeks, because of what's happening right now, the Australian government has fast-tracked telehealth, and it's national right now. That's a great example of listening. It's also a great example of not listening for 14 years as well.
Took a pandemic to make the change, eh? Yeah. Well, there's some excellent tips for us all to take out of those examples. So thank you for sharing. Well, Oscar, we've put together a white paper which will be accessible for everyone to access. So we'll put the links on this video and in the YouTube channel below. And I just want to thank you very much for sharing those insights with you. And I'm sure there's a lot that we can all take away from this about leadership with a capital L and a lowercase l, and asking questions, and almost as importantly, listening to the answers to those questions.
Sharon, thanks for listening.
Thank you, Oscar.